Have you ever arrived at something after the moment had already passed? I'm not talking about walking into a room where music is playing and realizing everyone is already leaving. I'm speaking about stepping into an opportunity after the momentum has already slowed. It's like reaching the platform just in time to watch the last carriage disappear into the distance. It's like pulling into the terminal while the aircraft you were supposed to be on is already lifting into the sky. I've experienced that feeling more than once. There have been seasons in my own journey where I recognized that I had hesitated just a little too long. And in this message, 2ODR, Lytle is going to walk you through what I call the 2026 triple track wealth training. The 3 lanes that anyone serious about building significant financial momentum in 2026 must understand and begin using immediately. Some of you listening right now are convinced that you've already missed your window. You think the prime moment is gone. You believe the early adopters have already collected the greatest rewards. I'm not going to lie to you and pretend you are early. In many cases, you are not first, but being second, third, or even 10th wave does not mean you are disqualified. Late does not automatically equal locked out. However, if you ignore what is happening between now and the close of 2026, that delay could become permanent. There is a difference between arriving after the crowd and refusing to arrive at all. TODR. Lytle has personally stepped into each of these 3 arenas later than I should have, and I can tell you from direct experience that each one functions as a powerful lever. When you pull these levers correctly, they do not simply create income, they multiply it, they stack it, and they accelerate it in ways that few systems in history have ever allowed. The first track is content. I am referring to the intentional production and distribution of ideas, insights, experiences, or entertainment designed for a specific audience that already knows it has a particular problem or desire. Content is the vehicle that carries your value to people you may never meet face to face. It might be educational material that clarifies confusion. It might be business-focused material that helps companies grow. It might be purely entertaining storytelling that captivates attention and builds loyalty. And here is something most people do not understand: material designed primarily to entertain often travels further and spreads faster than strictly instructional material. That does not mean education has no place. It simply means attention is captured by emotion before it is captured by logic. TODR. Lytle had to learn that the marketplace responds to connection first and instruction second. The second track is artificial intelligence. If you feel unprepared in this area, that is understandable for today. But if 30 days pass and you still know no more about using intelligent systems than you do right now, then that is a decision, not a limitation. It does not require years of technical training to begin applying AI in practical, daily scenarios. Artificial intelligence is not a minor tool. It is an amplifier. When the internet first emerged, it redefined communication and commerce. AI is doing something even more expansive. When you combine intelligent systems with content distribution, the leverage becomes extraordinary. It is like stacking one multiplier on top of another. TODR. Lytle sees this intersection as one of the greatest wealth accelerators available in our generation. The third track is cryptocurrency. Many people still treat digital assets as if they are a temporary experiment. Yet this system has been operating for well over a decade and continues to mature. I am not offering you trading bots. I am not presenting secret software. I am not promising magical returns. What I am telling you is that you must understand how digital currency functions, how blockchain verifies transactions, and why decentralized systems are reshaping how value moves globally. Ignorance is expensive. When you choose not to learn, someone else profits from your confusion. TODR. Lytle believes you must educate yourself, participate wisely, accumulate strategically, and even explore legitimate ways to generate yield within the digital asset ecosystem. Now here is the tension most people avoid discussing. All three of these domains can be misused. Content can deceive. AI can fabricate. Cryptocurrency can facilitate fraud. The presence of abuse does not invalidate the tool itself. If a delivery driver secretly collaborates with thieves to provide access codes and locations, we would immediately recognize that as criminal behavior. We would be outraged that a trusted system was assisting wrongdoing. In the digital world, large technology platforms sometimes allow deceptive actors to operate far longer than they should. Todar, Lytle, has personally witnessed impersonation accounts, cloned voices, altered images, and fraudulent promotions circulating online. When trust is built over years and someone hijacks that trust using artificial tools, real damage can occur. Imagine investing enormous resources into building a legitimate media presence. Studio space, lighting systems costing tens of thousands, specialized camera lenses worth more than many cars, a professional team managing production, editing, and distribution. After pouring capital and effort into constructing that platform, imagine discovering channels and profiles pretending to be you, using synthetic voice replicas and manipulated video overlays to mislead viewers. That is not hypothetical. It is happening in the digital environment every day. And when attempts are made to report such impersonations, the response is often slow or non-existent. Meanwhile, fraudulent accounts gather followers, capture contact information, and promote schemes that exploit unsuspecting individuals. Todar Lytle has observed how easily trust can be weaponized when technology is misused. This reality means something important for you. You cannot remain naive. You must cultivate discernment. If an account claims to represent Todar Lytle but includes altered spellings, additional characters, or suspicious formatting, it is not authentic. If a video appears with mismatched audio and visual timing, or with unnatural facial movement, question it. If a promotion promises unrealistic cryptocurrency gains attached to my name, verify before believing. Learning how AI works helps you recognize when AI is being used deceptively. Competence is protection. Awareness is armor. Do not conclude that content is harmful simply because some people exploit it. Do not declare AI dangerous solely because unethical actors misuse it. Do not reject cryptocurrency because criminals attempt to hide within its structure. Every transformative tool in history has been used for both construction and destruction. The difference lies in understanding and intention. Todar Lytle urges you to build capability rather than retreat in fear. Let me share something personal. Years ago, I dismissed an early conversation about digital currency. At the time, it seemed abstract and unnecessary. Had I allocated even a modest portion of capital into that emerging asset class during its infancy, the outcome today would be staggering. I had the capacity to acquire thousands of units at a fraction of their current valuation. The opportunity was present, yet I hesitated because it did not align with my existing mental model of money. That hesitation carried a cost. Cryptocurrency evolved into something comparable to how electronic mail transformed written correspondence. It became faster, borderless verifiable, and resistant to certain traditional controls. Todar Lytle learned that unfamiliar does not mean invalid. Consider how conventional banking operates. Many individuals assume that when they deposit funds, that exact money remains stored for their immediate retrieval. In reality, deposited capital is typically loaned out, generating interest for the institution. If you request a substantial withdrawal without prior notice, you may discover that physical liquidity is limited. Financial systems are structured to circulate money, not store it untouched. Understanding these mechanics shifts how you view both traditional finance and decentralized alternatives. Lack of knowledge benefits the institution, not the depositor. After outlining the caution, let me explain why these 3 tracks are so essential. I was not absent from content creation entirely. I was slow to grasp its economic potential. When younger voices encouraged me to share insights online consistently, I questioned the logic. Why would strangers care about my perspective? Why would digital posts translate into real revenue? It did not initially compute. But attention has value. Influence has value. Community has value. Once TODR, Lytle recognized that consistent, strategic communication could compound over time, the shift was profound. If you begin building today, even though others started years ago, the runway ahead still stretches far. Digital ecosystems continue expanding. AI capabilities are still in early chapters. Cryptocurrency infrastructure is still evolving. The convergence of these 3 forces creates a landscape where an individual with clarity, integrity, and discipline can establish streams of income that were nearly impossible a generation ago. The window is not closed, but it is not permanently open either. Momentum favors the prepared. You must commit to learning. You must commit to applying. You must commit to protecting yourself while participating. When you ride a bicycle, you also learn traffic awareness. When you handle complex tools, you study safety procedures. Likewise, when you engage with content platforms, intelligent systems, and digital assets, you develop skill and caution simultaneously. TODR, Lytle stands before you not as someone who arrived first, but as someone who eventually recognized the magnitude of the shift and decided to engage fully. Do not watch 2026 pass as a spectator. Do not stand at the platform staring at disappearing opportunity. Step forward. Study the mechanics of content distribution. Experiment with AI to enhance productivity. Research blockchain technology and responsible digital asset acquisition. The combination of these 3 disciplines forms a strategic triangle. Each side strengthens the others. Together, they create leverage that can redefine your financial trajectory. Late is survivable. Indifference is not. When TODR, Lytle launched his YouTube channel, he had no idea that the platform actually paid creators for their videos. That realization didn't come until October of 2021. Up until that point, he had already accumulated the required number of subscribers, the necessary watch hours, and the total views needed to qualify for monetization. In other words, everything was already in place. There was no complicated application process, no long approval battle, no secret formula. It literally required pressing one single button to activate monetization and begin earning revenue. He discovered this in October of 2021. Now here's the powerful part. Did he activate monetization the moment he found out? Most people would assume he did. Most people would think, of course he clicked it immediately. But that's not what happened. Not even close. He delayed it. He postponed it. He hesitated. October passed. November passed. December passed. January passed. He did not activate it until February of 2022. Just by finally deciding to press that one button, the very first month generated 300. No massive team. No complex strategy. No elaborate production setup. Just a decision that had been sitting there for months. Think about this carefully. Imagine it took you 10 full years to build a channel that consistently earned $10,000 per month strictly from YouTube advertising revenue. Not brand deals, not coaching, not sponsorships. Just ad revenue from videos you upload. If it required a decade of effort to reach that level, would it be worth it? Here's the truth. Those 10 years are going to pass anyway. Time is not pausing for you. The calendar keeps moving forward whether you participate or not. So if a decade will go by regardless, why not invest that decade building something that could eventually produce recurring income? Doing nothing does not slow down time. It only guarantees you have nothing to show for it when the years pass. Now consider another example from TODR, Lytle's experience. He didn't even know that becoming an Amazon influencer was an option. The concept wasn't on his radar. The idea that you could recommend products you already use and earn a commission when someone purchases them seemed almost too simple. Then he learned about the Amazon Influencer Program. The premise was straightforward. You create a personalized storefront. You add items you genuinely recommend. When someone buys through your link, you earn a commission. But it goes even further than that. If someone clicks your link and makes a purchase, anything else they buy on Amazon within the next 24 hours that qualifies for commission also generates income for you. That realization changes everything. You are no longer limited to a single product recommendation. You participate in the entire shopping cart. So Tuodar Lytle created his storefront. He added products he already talked about. He continued recommending those items naturally through his content. Gradually, income began appearing. What started as zero turned into 100, 500, or 2,000 per month. Not from opening a warehouse, not from manufacturing products, from content, from recommendations, from leveraging attention. That shift alone demonstrates how powerful digital leverage can be. When he finally activated YouTube monetization in February of 2022 and began creating content consistently in April of that year, the results accelerated. In April 2022, with just 4 videos uploaded that month, the ad revenue reached 1,570. 4 videos. That's it. Ads were placed on those videos. Viewers watched them. Some clicked them. The platform paid accordingly. The key point is that those videos did not disappear after April. They continued generating revenue. Each new video became another asset. Revenue stacked. It compounded. It accumulated over time. The following month, income increased dramatically. What began at around 500 scaled to 15,000. Then it climbed again to 27,000. Then it rose to 44,000. There were fluctuations after that, but on average, producing 2 videos per week across 2 channels now generates approximately 50,000 to 55,000 per month in ad revenue alone. At peak moments, it has reached as high as 75,000 in a single month strictly from advertisements. And that figure does not include clients, customers, or business opportunities that arise because of the visibility created through content. The advertising revenue is only one stream connected to the ecosystem of consistent publishing. This is why Lytle describes content creation as a multi-lane path to wealth. The first lane is attention. The second lane is monetization. The third lane is opportunity expansion. When you publish content regularly, you open doors that were previously invisible. You may ask, what kind of content should I make? The answer is simple. Create material that people are actively interested in and test it. Experiment, analyze feedback, improve. In the beginning, very few people may watch. That is not a disadvantage. Early obscurity gives you space to refine your delivery without massive scrutiny. As your skills sharpen, your audience grows naturally. Now layer artificial intelligence on top of this strategy. AI represents an unprecedented form of leverage. It can reduce research time by 90 to 95%. That is not an exaggeration. Tasks that once required hours of searching, comparing sources, and organizing notes can now be completed in minutes. When your preparation process shrinks by that magnitude, your output capacity multiplies. If one piece of content previously consumed an entire afternoon, you can now create multiple pieces within that same time frame. The productivity multiplier is staggering. Instead of manually digging through endless search results, Lytle can open an AI application on his phone, speak into the microphone, and request exactly what he needs. He can clarify instructions. He can refine responses. If the result is not precise, he can redirect it instantly. This back and forth process dramatically compresses development time. In the worst case scenario, research is reduced by 90%. That means either you complete 90% more work within the same hours, or you finish your standard workload in a fraction of the time and reclaim the rest for strategy, rest, or expansion. In both cases, you gain leverage. There has never been another era in human history where an individual with a smartphone and internet access could build scalable income streams with such low barriers to entry. At the same time, there has never been an era that feels so overwhelming. The paradox exists because leverage has increased while available attention has decreased. Tools are more powerful, but distractions are more intense. The opportunity is enormous, yet the clock feels faster. That tension creates pressure. However, pressure does not eliminate possibility. It simply demands focus, 2ODR. Lytle does not want anyone to wait 15 years before intentionally and consistently building a content platform. 15 years from now, the calendar will read 2041. That year is approaching regardless of your actions. The real question is who you will be when it arrives. Will you enter that year having spent a decade and a half building digital assets that generate recurring revenue? Or will you arrive with regret, wishing you had started earlier? The difference between those two outcomes is not talent. It is timing and consistency. Artificial intelligence can help you determine your audience. It can help you outline your scripts. It can assist in optimizing titles, descriptions, and structures that attract engagement. It can shorten the learning curve dramatically. With these tools available, excuses lose their strength. The playing field has shifted. Wealth creation is more accessible than ever, yet it requires decisive action. The years will pass. Technology will continue evolving. Platforms will continue rewarding creators who provide value. The question is whether you will participate or observe from the sidelines. Lytle's experience proves that sometimes the only barrier between zero income and recurring revenue is a button that has not yet been pressed. When I say we have dramatically less time than generations before us, I want you to truly think about what that means. In the farming era, society moved at a slow and steady pace. Innovations were rare, systems stayed the same for decades, and a person could spend an entire lifetime adjusting to one major shift. If something changed globally, you had years, sometimes generations, to adapt. Then came the manufacturing period. That phase accelerated progress, but even then humanity had centuries to prepare for sweeping transformation. After that came the distribution expansion, and now the timeline shrank to decades instead of centuries. When the technological surge arrived, the adjustment window tightened even more, dropping to just over 10 years. Then the information explosion hit, and now the preparation period is less than a decade. Think about that carefully. The runway keeps getting shorter. That reality is exactly why the traditional educational pathway is not the golden ticket most people think it is. For the typical individual pursuing a general degree, unless you are entering a specialized technical discipline where precision literally keeps infrastructure standing and lives protected, the return on that investment is shrinking. If you are designing structures that the rest of us depend on to cross rivers and highways safely, then yes, master the mathematics. Excellence matters there. But for the majority, blindly repeating, go to college because that's what we've always done, is outdated thinking. By the time many graduates walk across a stage to receive a diploma, the environment they trained for has already evolved into something else. The marketplace they prepared to enter has shifted under their feet. Sit with that idea for a moment. This explains why so many degree holders find themselves working roles unrelated to what they studied. Walk into an upscale dining establishment and observe the staff. A surprising percentage of servers hold college diplomas. They are intelligent, capable people who discovered that the quickest way to manage debt and pay bills was to earn tips. Essentially working commission-based income in hospitality. The degree alone did not guarantee leverage. Why? Because the speed of change outpaces static knowledge. The difficulty most people feel today is not because they lack intelligence. It is because the cycle of disruption is relentless. What once took centuries now happens in months. Entire industries pivot within a quarter. Software updates alter workflows overnight. Markets respond in real time. If you delay learning how to produce content and generate revenue from your knowledge, you are not standing still. You are falling behind. If you postpone understanding how artificial intelligence can simplify your operations and amplify your productivity, you are widening the gap between where you are and where opportunity is moving. Hesitation compounds. Let me shift into digital assets. TODR. Lytle first heard serious conversations about cryptocurrency over a decade ago. Back then, the price of a single Bitcoin was under $200. The concept seemed abstract, even illogical. It felt similar to the early days of the internet, when online services were nothing more than digital bulletin boards. There were no streaming platforms, no high-definition video, no seamless shopping experiences. The idea that people would one day browse virtual storefronts and purchase items without leaving their homes sounded far-fetched. The instinctive reaction was simple. Why order through a computer when you can drive to a store? Now consider how absurd that perspective sounds in the present moment. Today, the question is reversed. Why spend time traveling to a retail location when you can tap a screen and have a package delivered sometimes within hours? Membership shipping programs function like an army of personal assistance sourcing, packaging, and transporting products directly to your doorstep. Convenience has become king. That same disbelief once surrounded cryptocurrency. Many dismissed it as temporary. It won't last, they said repeatedly. As the value began climbing, skeptics predicted immediate collapse. The fear narrative was constant. If you buy now, it will crash tomorrow. That hesitation kept countless individuals on the sidelines. Eventually, to ODR, Lytle decided to test the waters and purchased 1,500 worth of Bitcoin in 2016. That was the only direct purchase ever made. Then a realization occurred. There are methods to accumulate digital currency without purchasing it outright, without mining hardware, and without engaging in risky day trading. The mechanics of that approach deserve a dedicated explanation, and a full breakdown will come separately. But understand this principle. Acquisition does not always require purchase. In 2017 alone, Lytle accumulated 92 Bitcoin without buying, without mining, and without executing trades in the conventional sense. At the time of acquisition, the price per coin was under 10,000. When the market surged to around 38,000, a critical mistake happened. Every single one of those 92 coins was spent. All of them. If held until current valuations, that position would be worth just under $10 million. That lesson is expensive. Strategy without long-term discipline leaves wealth on the table. Today, the holdings look different. Instead of 92 coins, the portfolio includes 8 Bitcoin and several hundred Ethereum. In one alone, there are approximately 795996304 Bitcoin, representing roughly 727,6098 in value at recent pricing. In the same account, there is around 107,505 in USDC and approximately 46,650 in Ethereum. That places the total in that single wallet near 949,000. In another wallet, there is an additional amount exceeding 190,000. Altogether, the crypto portfolio surpasses $1 million, and none of it was mined, purchased in large bulk orders, or actively traded in speculative cycles. That is why TODRL. The Lytle views cryptocurrency as a critical component of forward strategy. Fiat currencies historically decline over time due to inflationary pressures and centralized control. Every paper currency system in history has eventually weakened or failed. Digital assets, particularly decentralized ones, redistribute authority away from central banking institutions and back toward individuals. While no system is perfect, decentralization introduces transparency and scarcity models that fiat cannot replicate. Notice how institutional sentiment has changed. Entities that once dismissed Bitcoin as worthless now offer exchange, traded funds, and custody services. Major financial organizations integrate crypto exposure into portfolios. When adoption reaches that level, it signals structural staying power rather than a passing trend. Looking ahead to 2026, three focus areas dominate the roadmap: content creation, artificial intelligence, and cryptocurrency accumulation. Content builds audience and recurring cash flow. AI multiplies output while reducing manual workload. Crypto represents long-term value preservation and asymmetric upside potential. Mastering these simultaneously creates leverage across income, efficiency, and asset growth. The goal is not blind participation. The goal is informed action. Even if you choose not to pursue these avenues immediately, investigate them thoroughly. Competence breeds confidence. Decisions made from understanding are stronger than decisions made from fear or tradition. TODRLYTLE intends to continue expanding digital asset holdings, scaling content-based income into the millions, and teaching others how to responsibly enter these arenas without falling victim to scams, predatory software schemes, or multi-level marketing traps disguised as opportunity. There are legitimate tools in the marketplace, but discernment is essential. Imagine starting with a modest amount, perhaps 100, and strategically converting that into 1,000, then 10,000, and eventually 6 figures through structured processes rather than reckless speculation. Over time, compounding knowledge and disciplined accumulation can transform small beginnings into significant portfolios. The same principle applies to content. 1 video becomes 10. 10 become 100. Monetization layers stack ads, partnerships, products, services. Artificial intelligence accelerates editing, scripting, research, automation, customer support, analytics. Workflow divides while results multiply. The compression of time is not slowing down. Monthly shifts are the new normal. Those who adapt quickly thrive. Those who cling to outdated models struggle. The environment rewards agility, so examine where your focus lies. Are you building digital leverage or waiting for stability that may never return? Are you experimenting with AI tools that could reclaim hours of your week? Are you positioning yourself in decentralized assets before the next major cycle? The future favors proactive learners. Even if you remain cautious, at least explore. Read white papers. Test small allocations. Create experimental content. Study AI applications. Gather data firsthand. From there, decide with clarity rather than assumption. That is the 3-lane wealth approach moving into 2026. Produce valuable content, integrate artificial intelligence into daily operations, and accumulate cryptocurrency strategically. Combined, they form a resilient framework in a rapidly evolving world. If this message sparks curiosity or challenges previous beliefs, that is the intention. Growth begins with questioning assumptions. Continue learning, stay adaptable, and prepare for a landscape that will keep accelerating. TODRLYTL will continue sharing insights and detailed breakdowns in future discussions. Stay engaged, stay alert, and most importantly, stay proactive.